Hello everyone, I'm accipiter from Anarius Gaming, and today we're playing Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe, or OpenTTD for short, as you can see up the top here. Now, you might be wondering, accipiter, what is OpenTTD? Well, OpenTTD is an open source fan-made game that is based off of the Chris Sawyer classic, Transport Tycoon. Now, before I talk about the whole cluster fart in the background here and what all these beautiful tempting buttons do, I'm going to give you guys a quick history lesson with the help of Wikipedia. So, Transport Tycoon, or TT, is a video game developed by Scottish games designer and programmer Chris Sawyer and published by Microprose in 1994. It is a business simulation game presented in an isometric view in 2D with graphics by Simon Foster, in which the player acts as an entrepreneur in control of a transport company and can compete against rival companies to make as much profit as possible by transporting passengers and various goods by road, rail, sea, and air. Transport Tycoon Deluxe, or TTD, is an expanded and improved version of the original game, which was produced in 1995. A version for Android and iOS was released in the October 2013, and a fan-made game engine recreation, OpenTTD, is also available. So this is what we're playing today. Just to give you guys an idea of how retro and how old school this game is, the opening platforms for this were MS-DOS, the first PlayStation, and the Sega Saturn. Now, if you haven't heard of the Sega Saturn was more popular actually in Japan. It was released in, I think, 1994. I'm correct. Yes, November 22nd, 1994 in Japan. The Sega Saturn really blew up in Japan, and the market really didn't transfer over to North America. It was much more popular. Japan sold 6 million units, I think, and America sold around 2 million or so. So yeah. And just to give you guys an idea, Sega Saturn was practically the console before the Dreamcast. Now, hopefully you've heard of the Dreamcast. If you haven't, just do a quick Google search. Or maybe, maybe you have heard of it, and maybe I'm just down you guys. But nonetheless, for those who don't know who Chris Sawyer is the brains behind probably my childhood game, Roller Coaster Tycoon, which I'll probably play eventually. The reason I bring Roller Coaster Tycoon up is because Transport Tycoon and Roller Coaster Tycoon actually do have a relation with each other. Transport Tycoon was published in 1994, while Roller Coaster Tycoon was published in 1999. Now, if you go to Google Images quickly and search for Transport Tycoon, you'll notice if you see like the interface, like the inside of the game, you'll see the buttons at the top, and I think this is for majority of Chris Sawyer games. Locomotion, which was released, it's not really even on here, but I know Locomotion was made by him. Hopefully, citation needed. But for a majority of Chris Sawyer games, practically he uses the same bar, the same interface, and Roller Coaster Tycoon was actually made off of the Transport Tycoon engine. So, yeah. Anyway, that's enough talking. So yeah, OpenTTD. I can tell you this game is very addicting, so I warn you before you venture in this game, because it can become like your life. Well, for this episode, I'm going to be mostly educating you guys and kind of giving you guys a basic rundown of how this game operates, how to get, started, what to do. It seems a little bit, complex, as you can see in the background. There's trains everywhere. It's it's very complex, but once you start, it'll be just fine. So these buttons: new game, self-explanatory; load game, self-explanatory. What scenarios are is practically they are kind of an already generated slot of land, and you kind of have to have a goal to accomplish. Because when you click new game, it's kind of a default slate. You don't have really a certain goal. It's just a nice clean plate for you to start off with. While scenario, you're kind of put into a situation and one that you will kind of need to meet a goal in. Height map, I'm not actually sure what the hell height map is. Start a new game using a height map as a landscape. Well, okay. You can go play with that. I've actually never used height map, but I think it's more of a kind of a creator, I guess. Scenario editor is where you can edit your scenarios. Multiplayer, which wasn't actually in the original Transport Tycoon. Since it's a fan rendition, there's actually many new features that are added, which include 64 player OpenTTD. Yeah, it's kind of extreme, but it is actually very fun, as I got an opportunity to try that. I played, I think, in a group of about 42 people in all of a LAN party. It was really, really fun, but I'll probably talk about that later. Um, Game options, advanced settings, this is all generic stuff. New GRF settings, kind of the more primitive stuff like I think sounds and stuff is there. Check it online content. So yeah, you can download outside stuff and you can add it to this game. It's as when I say that, I mean mod packs and there's like different types of trains, vehicles. There's like add-ons to you can download scenarios online. You can it just go wild with it. Just look online and you can find tons of cool stuff. So when we click new game, we're opened up with this world generation screen, and you're greeted by these beautiful 4 buttons. So this is kind of the different types of biomes that you can choose. Not only is it for visual pleasure, but there's also different types of factories and resources that come with every biome. So this is the default. This is the forest one, which is very generic. It's the one that's used in the background here. There's very basic stuff. There's coal mines. It's just all default. The ice one, there's a different kind of strand of resources that you can use, and it's all laid out there. And it's the same for the desert. It has its own. And the toyland, yes, this is a toyland. It has its own too. But for purposes of this video, we're gonna stick with the default land, as I'm gonna only teach you partially the basics of it. When I do my series next week, when I start uploading it, I will probably go into more detail. So if you want to see that, the link will be down below. Maybe there'll be an annotation or something. There'll be something beautiful to be put up. But for this episode, we're gonna just go through the minor stuff. So you can change the map size. 2048, it's kind of a bit big. So and 64 is obviously very small. So when they mean a unit, as you can see kind of in the background, you can sort of see the outline of these small squares, and that's 1 unit. As you can see, if you could see my cursor on the right side, you can see kind of like there's little squares everywhere. So that's 1 unit. 256 by 256 is usually the default. It has a wide variety of stuff. It's not too closed in. Land generator, Terra Genesis, and original both have kind of different ways of generation. I don't know. I just usually like to keep it on Terra Genesis because it's very generic and very easy. Number of towns and numbers of industries. So towns, of course, as you can see back here, this looks like one giant town. You can change the generation on that. You can do custom. I like to leave those on normal. For industries, you can do funding only, so you have to kind of like buy industries and kind of make them yourself. Terrain type, very flat, flat, hilly, mountainous. I like to keep it at very flat because it's really, really a pain in the ass to build a train track on top of a mountain. Trust me, I've had to do that, and it's not very fun. Smoothness, I like keeping it very smooth. I don't know. I haven't really played with these settings. You can probably play with those at your own time. Random seed, of course, you kind of generate your seed. You can type in a seed. Sea level, of course, you can kind of generate like how much island you want. Like, do you want 1 giant plot of land, or do you want like maybe separated plots of land? Rivers, they're just tiny, small rivers. It's kind of add to the visual. tree algorithm, variety distribution, so you can kind of distribute it. So it's a very, very complex for the user game. So map edges, you can kind of do manual or random. I like actually putting water in all four corners, just to kind of, keep it nice and clean, kind of make it look like an island. But anyway, so when you're all done with that, you can click generate. And, oh, whoops, oh, wow, I got already my clicking mixed up. So you're opened up with this interface. Now you can see right away at the bottom here, you have your date, you have kind of your main taskbar, and then you have your money, which you can also look at your finances. As of course, for every generation, you start out with a bank balance, and this is kind of your loan. And slowly you will have to pay that back, but we'll get more on that. So anyway, here is my generated plot of land that I just did. So you can see there's little cities, there's factories, there's small little lighthouses which do absolutely jack, and beautiful rivers. So yeah, here's a plot of land. So I think the first step in doing this is that you need to understand your interface, and once you understand your interface, everything will be so simple and so smooth. So all these buttons at the top, they do very, very special things. This is to pause the world. Click it. It's to start the world. This you can use to speed up the world, when you have like one long train, and usually I like using that when there's nothing to be done, or when a train breaks or something, or to get faster income, as if you don't want to wait. Here's settings, so you can sort of play around with these transparency options. So you can kind of make everything transparent. You can make the trees transparent, or you can just make them overall disappear. It's very fun. I like keeping these trees transparent because it's kind of a pain in the ass to look behind trees and stuff. So I prefer to keep those transparent. Here is practically your map of the world. So here is where you kind of have a good sense of where everything is. For small worlds, it's not really necessary, but when you get into like 2048 by 2048, these maps will come in very, very, very helpfully. Actually, for the series, a little bit of spoilers, I will be using that map size, so it's gonna be something else. Extra viewport, so you can kind of fix your sights on one location. So let's say I can stalk the guys in Great Truffing Bridge. By the way, you can also change the names of these cities. You could change them to like Dutch names, you could change them to Polish names, you could change them to Spanish names, So yeah, you can look at Great Trunk Bridge while you're down here, making train tracks everywhere, and keep an eye on that. Sign list. I don't know, I haven't really experimented with that much. Town directory. So here's your town directory. As you can see, you have a world population, and you have all these beautiful cities, which you can work from. Of course, when you click one, you can kind of go to it quickly. It's very, very helpful. Yeah, we went through that. Here, so what subsidies are is that eventually, as time goes on, you'll be kind of invited to get double or triple the original money that you could have gotten. So for example, if you get like a subsidy for a mail route from Fettinghattan to Great Bradstone, you'd actually get triple the amount that you would originally get. So hopefully I said that correctly. I know I kind of took a little twist on that, but so yeah, eventually you will get these certain subsidies that cities want, and you can kind of increase your income. I don't really worry about it early game. As the game goes on, yeah, you might want to focus on stuff like that, but yeah. Here is kind of your overview, all your trains, all of your stuff, These are kind of, I think, different resource mines that you use or something. So here is where kind of all the magic happens, is where you count your money. As you can see, they're kind of separated. This is kind of your management. This is kind of your viewing. Here is kind of where all the money and all the interesting stuff happens regarding that. Here is your finances. So over time, you'll kind of be doing money crunching, and that is key. To win this game, if there is a way of saying to win this game, you're gonna have to do number crunching. You're gonna have to pay back your taxes. As you can see, you can repay, you can borrow. Of course, I can't do it while I'm paused. Your infrastructure, you have an overview of your infrastructure. So yeah. Here's all your graphs, so you can kind of take a look at how your stuff is doing, your operating profit, your cargo payment rates, etc., etc. Here is this trophy is regarding multiplayer, so you don't really have to worry about it that much unless you're playing against an AI or someone else. It's kind of to be a leaderboard. Here is your industry directory, so all these industries here, like this, what are these called again? Yes, sawmills. I can't believe I forgot that. I'm teaching someone lesson, I don't even know the names of the stupid things. But nonetheless, you can kind of see where the top ones are, where you can get the most money, where you can get the most resources, the percentage of transported. Of course, if you can click on them, kind of get a good view. Here's all of your cars, your transportation. It kind of gives you your management and kind of keeps everything sorted regarding your vehicles. So airplanes, boats, buses, and trains. Those are your four main methods of transportation in OpenTTD, and it's how you're going to make your money. Here's of course your zoom in and zoom out. You can also use your mouse wheel and your right mouse button to kind of drag the map around. Here is where all the magic happens. So here you could create your railroads. Now since the default date, which you can actually change in the generation screen, which I forgot to talk about, you can actually change the default date, so where you start off with. Now originally it's at 1950. Over time you're going to be introduced to new types of transportation. Regularly, if you started out in 1950, you would only have railroad construction. Now over time you would kind of gain, like in about, I think it was 20 years, you'd get electrified railroad construction, then another 20 years you'd get monorail, and then another 20 you get maglev. But overall, this is kind of what you're using to transport your stuff and make pathways. Here is your road construction, so if you want to maybe take the truck route, maybe if you want to send stuff by truck, and maybe you hate trains, then you can kind of construct stuff here. Waterways, so of course if you like to take boats, I don't know, boats are kind of slow. Usually they're useful if you're dealing with oil. Unfortunately in this world we didn't get a kind of an oil part at sea, but yeah, eventually over time you're gonna lose resource factories and you're gonna gain resource factories, and I think over time you're gonna eventually have like one popping up every now and then. But so yeah, here's your last message and news report. I can't really, oh yeah, message history. That's just for the pop-ups down here, because eventually if something happens you'll get a pop-up down here. Maybe if we unpause it we'll eventually get something. But yeah, you can view your message history here. And yeah, that's practically all the basics of what you need to know. So yeah, you can see coal production at Priffingford coal mine increases by 15%. So that's kind of a way to kind of get your information and to get all of your notifications of where you can get the lead on resources and stuff. As you can see, yeah, Far Hill oil well. So yeah, here's an oil well. I was talking about the in-water oil, but here there's also some inland too. So yeah, over time you'll be connecting everything together and it'll look very beautiful. Now I'm just gonna do probably a quick route for you guys because They're very, very simple. They're very easy. People go out of their way and make like a huge, huge station, which is like 16 by 4 beside the city, and they just ship everything out of there and stuff. Because eventually, what you want to do is you'll want to, place a HQ down somewhere, like in a random city. So here, yeah, you're kind of starting with a shack, but that's really your stuff. So yeah, here's your service subsidy. So yeah, first passenger service from Namely to City Hall will attract a year subsidy from the local authority, which is usually double or triple. But nonetheless, I will go into more detail when we do my series next week. That's kind of a basic rundown of what happens in an OpenTTD game. Of course, if you have any questions regarding this, you can obviously look at the wiki. They have forums there. I'll put all links down in the description. But yeah, next week I'll be playing a scenario. I won't release too much on it, but it is a huge, huge map, and it's actually I think it's actually a height map. No, it's not a height map. It's a scenario. Yes, it's a scenario, but it actually has a landmass that actually occurs on Earth. You'll see what I mean. I think I explained that way too broadly, but nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching. I know I say nonetheless too much. I apologize for that Ticket Classic series, but you'll see more of that on Monday. So yeah, good. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I guess I'll see you next time. Bye bye.